All right, welcome back to episode 9 of the AI Code Central podcast. Once again, we are featuring our CMO, Conor Douglas. Yay!
What's up, everybody?
And as we mentioned last week, we're going to go into deep discussions on data, which is actually, that's one of the reasons Kaz isn't here. Thank God. She says data just makes her brain just hurt. So she will not.
What a shame. I love data.
Yeah, because it's like pretty important, right? Especially in regards to what we're doing.
Super important. It's what drives most of the things forward. And that's what we're going to basically break down today. So if you guys are interested in implementing analytics on your site, on your application, how to read the analytics, it's really all about driving the marketing machine forward, right? It's like last week we spoke about audience discovery, who you should target, how you get them over. This is really going to dive into now, how do you implement the analytics on your site? How do you read it? How do you dissect it? And then how do you give proper attribution to everything you're doing? And how do you make it more efficient, right? How do you optimize towards building on all of those foundational pieces and those blocks? That's what we're going to break down today. So Kaz, you're missing out. Everybody else, stay tuned because you're going to learn a lot. It's going to be very beneficial to the growth of everything that you're working on. So it's going to be really, really insightful for you guys out there.
Let's do it. All right. Kick things off. Where do we start?
So I think it's really more about, covering some of the basic stuff, right? It's kind of like this, building it and they will come perspective that everybody has. So again, we covered a lot of this last week. Everybody has this grand idea of creating an application, building something, a grand idea, and a void or purpose that they're trying to fill, right? And that's fantastic. But the thing that they're missing, again, it's the marketing perspective and the analytics and all the attribution behind it, right? So you can build something, but how do you know it's working? How do you know that people are coming and they're engaging with it and they're getting the most use out of it, right? So that basically transitions into getting analytics on your site, right? And I think the most common one that people know is Google Analytics. It used to be Universal Analytics. Now it's GA4. Most people should be familiar with that, but it doesn't just stop there. It also goes into things like Google Search Console. And these are two very different things, right? Google Analytics is going to cover all of your marketing platforms. That includes people who come from organic, people who come from paid, people who come from email, people who come from referral. Google Search Console is going to cover just organic. And Charlie, I'll hand it over to you if you want to explain a little bit more on the Google Search Console side of things and really what organic covers, because you're definitely the pro at that. And I can dive a little bit more into the GA4 stuff if you'd like to.
Yeah, really, Search Console is, what keywords, queries, when you look in the back end or in Search Console itself, what keywords did they type in to find your website, and what pages were they led to? And then it covers click-through rates, impressions, and clicks as well. So like over a certain period of time, let's say over like 28 days, you see that data, what keywords, again, what pages, what devices, what countries, what locations, all of that. And then you can peg it. So you can say like, how did my app perform, the traffic to my web app 28 days ago to the previous 28 days. And then you can benchmark it.
Yep. And I think talking about, again, how pertinent this is to understanding performance, right? It's like Search Console is a great tool for understanding, again, what keywords are people searching that are driving them to your website, driving them to your application, right? It's like this helps drive other factors of your marketing, right? It's not just what are people typing into Google and is that all I should be focusing on Google. This could also help you understand what are the keywords, topics, hashtags, things on TikTok that you might want to focus on? What should you be talking about on Reddit? Or what are some subreddits you should be looking at? What are paid terms you should be focusing on paid ads on Google, right? Where are forums or areas you should be on Meta, for example, right? So Google Search Console, while yes, very focused on just organic search terms, is also going to be very indicative of where you should be in some other areas of your marketing. So, again, it's all kind of a holistic approach. So while it is a separate platform, it measures something very separate from some other marketing channels. It is very much a piece of everything else, and that's how it should be looked at. But kind of transitioning back over to GA4, GA4 is going to look at the entire landscape of your marketing. So again, not just organic, not just keywords that people type into Google or into Bing or into Yahoo to Does anybody even use Yahoo these days anymore? I don't know. I feel like we see it, but
Ask Jeeves or
yeah, Ask Jeeves or what? Man, Ask Jeeves. That's an old one. I digress. But that being said, GA4 is really going to be the main hub to see the source of where most of your users are coming from, your sessions, and we'll dive into what all of these things are in just a little bit, even through a screen share here. But again, gives you a really good idea of how people get to your website, get to your application. What are they doing once they get there? What does the engagement look like, right? Are people leaving once they get there right away? Are they going from page to page? Are they taking the action that you want them to take, whether it be a download, a form fill, paying for something, whether it be signing up for a subscription or something else, right? All of these things. And again, without it, you're kind of just flying by the seat of your pants. You're just saying, yep, throwing my application, throwing my website out there, hoping people come and that they take the action I want them to. And maybe that's the case. And if you're lucky enough for that to be the case, good for you. But eventually you're going to hit a wall. And at some point, you're not going to understand enough about your audience to keep scaling up and to keep moving forward. And again, this is where the analytics really come into play for you to continuously grow your business, again, grow your application, grow your site, scale up, and keep things moving forward from a marketing perspective.
So not having this wired up, set up, like we're about to show you, in my head, is it like trying to lose weight without having to scale?
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to put it. I'd say, again, it's kind of like a compass, right? It's almost like giving you the guide of which way you should be moving in the direction you should be going in. Again, because otherwise you're just making an educated guess, right? You could feel like things are going great, right? And that, yep, I'm seeing revenue, I'm seeing, more engagement, I'm feeling like things are going really well. And again, there's going to be a point where you hit a wall or things just stop working and you're not going to have any supporting reason as to why. And this is what the analytics are really going to provide you at the end of the day. And it's, like you said, a great analogy. It's just like not having a scale when you're trying to lose weight, right? Eventually, you're not going to know whether you're continuing to lose weight or not because you don't have anything that's going to provide you as an indicator as to whether or not you're successful on the path that you're trying to go down. So really, really good way to put it, I'd say.
The tag manager, what's this tag manager? Because we've messed around with it. Containers and all that, and events and scripts.
Yeah. So I think it's, there's a lot that we're going to try and explain and consolidate into this episode. And I know we don't have a ton of time for it, right? So there's a few different pieces I think that we want to get in here. We've already said GA4. We've already said Google Search Console. Those are two very foundational platforms that you should have set up on your website, right? And we've already explained what they do. But in order to get those set up on your website, what you typically need first and foremost is called Google Tag Manager. And I'll even pull that up right here really quick for everybody to see. So you can all see my screen right here. This is Google Tag Manager. We're just using a website example right here, csvfile.ai, a really cool one actually that Charlie's put together. Pretty neat. We should actually go through this one day because it's an awesome website that breaks down basically performance from GA4 and some other platforms, spits out some pretty cool results and analysis on basically just website performance. So also, again, talking about GA4, the importance of it, Google Tag Manager, again, getting those on your website is super important, but before you even do anything in terms of connecting them, getting all that stuff set up, you want to install Google Tag Manager on your website to begin with, right? So I would just use something like ChatGPT, right? Whatever you're comfortable with, Claude, something else. Just prompt it and ask it how to do it. So you could do something as simple as, give me a quick step-by-step tutorial on how to install Google Tag Manager on my website. Keep it short and clear. Otherwise, you'll just get a bunch of fluff and junk if you already have it installed, right? So I just keep something as simple as this. Log into GTM, get the install code, install Google Tag Manager, and this will give you everything you need, right? So it's easy, step-by-step instructions. Obviously, if you have Shopify, if you have WordPress, if you have Wix, it doesn't matter. You guys all know how to use, LLMs at this point and go back and forth with the prompts. So that's why you're looking into this kind of stuff. So you'll be able to get it. But anyway, Google Tag Manager is where you would basically get all of your tags for things like GA4, Google Search Console, any other type of marketing platform that's going to measure performance on your website, right? And you probably hear people talk about it all the time. It's not a very complicated platform, but for somebody who's not sure how to use it, it can be pretty intimidating, right? Because typically you log in, this is the screen you see. It has all of these tabs on the left-hand side, tags, triggers, variables, and then your folders and templates. If you're a newbie, you're just starting off with Google Tag Manager, the only thing I tell you to worry about are going to be called tags and triggers. If you want to get a little bit more advanced, which I think we should cover in an episode later on, it's going to be variables here. But the two biggest things are tags and triggers. And the two platforms that I really, really want to focus on, one that's already in here for csvfile.ai is called our GA4 Google Tag Base Tracking. And that GA4 Google Tag Base Tracking is exactly that. It's taking your Google Analytics, your GA4 tag, and implementing it through Google Tag Manager on your website so you can start collecting certain metrics in your Google Analytics account. Things like page views, user traffic, sessions, events, engagement, clicks, scrolls, things like that, right? And the way to make this tag populate is by grabbing it and connecting it from your Google Analytics account and adding it as a tag here and making it fire upon a trigger. So I know this is all going very fast. So Charlie, I want you to play the role of like total newbie, right? Guy who's just created his first website and like ask me any question you want about Tag Manager.
Okay.
You've actually set this up yourself, but it's like if you had any question on Tag Manager itself, like let's go through a quick practice here.
Okay. First of all, is that set up correctly?
Yeah, this is set up correctly. You actually did a great job of this. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Very cool.
So I know that your experience is limited in this capacity, but you set this up 100% the right way.
Okay. So, and it just very like pretend I'm a golden retriever. What's the difference between tags and triggers?
Yeah. So a tag is literally like if we go and we put a new tag on, right? Let's go back here. Oops, sorry. We're going to go back to the csvfile.ai and I do a new tag. I'm going to walk through the entire process.
Yeah, let's just set one up.
So a tag example, and this is why I just want to kind of visualize it for everybody. I can explain it, but it's going to be a little difficult. So a tag is basically going to be any one of these examples that they give you on the right-hand side. And again, we're going to start with just a Google Analytics tag, but as you see here, tag is an associated snippet or piece of code from any major platform or marketing platform that you've probably heard of. Again, in this case, Google Analytics, but we also have Google Ads. If you go down the list, again, this is the nice thing about Tag Manager. They have so many of these things that are really just, they're already out of the box for you. You don't have to go and search high and low for all these different tags or do these custom HTMLs, which you do have to do sometimes, but not all the time. But it just plays so nicely with things like LinkedIn, Pinterest. You know, there's just a lot of different things in here where you can just go in and click on it. But again, in this case, we'll just go with Google Analytics, and then it's going to give you the opportunity to basically just load a Google tag. And instead of having to take a long piece of code, right, like this long snippet of HTML or JSS or whatever other snippet that they want to give you, you're literally just going to have to take the tag ID from your Google Analytics account, your GA4 account, and plug it in here. And then you'll trigger it. And basically what the trigger does is it tells the tag when to fire on the website.
Okay. So can we do, because I've seen it, when I say I've seen it, you set it up for us where like on the homepage, it's like get started, sign up now, start your free trial, whatever. And then you can like track the amount of clicks that call to action button has. Is that what this is?
Yes, in some capacity.
Is that an example?
This is the precursor to all of that though too. So it's almost getting a little, you're walking before you crawl, right? So before you even start tracking certain button clicks or certain actions that take place in your website, like you just want to get this general tag installed, right?
Okay.
So I think again, for the example, again, a tag is really just, instead of having to go into your GA4 and go into admin and going to your data streams, and I'm doing this very, very, very fast, right? And going into where your data stream is and looking at your measurement ID and having to go to configure, like this is what you would have to do if you weren't going through Tag Manager, right? You'd have to go to configure your tag settings, and you'd have to go through all of these steps to get a piece of hard code, go into the back end of your website, place it in the header code, as opposed to just being able to do something as simple as getting your measurement ID right here, right? Copying your measurement ID, going to Google Tag Manager, putting your tag ID up here, and you can label your tag. You can call this Google Analytics or GA4, and then clicking save, right? And then your Google Analytics tag is set up in Google Tag Manager, right?
Got it.
So
okay.
Once that's done,
it cuts down the steps like 90%. So as opposed to like every single page is just on, bam, it's just stamped on like the front, and it just runs it globally.
Correct.
Okay.
So the second thing to this too is you still need to fire your tag though, right? And typically the way that your tag is fired is through a step called triggering. And right now the Google Analytics tag is fired through just whenever a page is loaded, right? And that's this initialization all pages. That's typically how most tags are fired here. So again, for anybody listening to this, anybody starting their first website application, this is like 101 stuff. Get your Google Analytics account set up. You just sign up through it through a general Gmail account. Get a Google Tag Manager account set up. It's signed up through the same Gmail account. And you go in, you set up your first new tag. Going to do this again very, very slowly just so everybody kind of gets it. And you just do new. You'll label this like GA4 or Google Analytics, whatever you want. Your tag configuration, Google Analytics here, Google Tag here. And once you're in your analytics account, right? Once you create your analytics account, you're going to go to admin. You're going to go to data streams. Click on your data stream right here. And you're going to copy your measurement ID. Paste it into the tag ID. And you're triggering, if initialization all pages doesn't show up, all you're going to want to do is click on triggering. And you can either, and these already come default in Tag Manager. So you're either going to click initialization all pages, page view, or you can either do consent initialization, right? I either do initialization all pages or all pages page view right here. Initialization all pages is just fine.
And that's more or less the same thing?
Same thing.
Or accomplishes the same thing? Okay.
Correct. The minor difference between these three, right? Just for a quick explanation. All pages would be any page view, any page that's loaded that they're on. Initialization all pages, all of the pages have to have loaded from the website, right? And then consent initialization all pages typically means that there's cookie consent on the website. So if they accept the cookie, then they start being tracked. If not, then they wouldn't be tracked. But in this case, we can do initialization all pages. We can click save. In this case, I won't do it since you already have it on there. And then once you click save, the last step you have to do is you always have to hit this submit button to publish your new tag on the site. And you can call this V2 Google Analytics. That's what I would call it because you've already done your V1. Click publish and you're good to go.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
That's when you start measuring all of the analytics on your website. So again, it's a simple process, but one that I feel like a lot of people get stuck on or lost on because there's just multiple platforms that you need to do to get it done, right? And it's like that took, I don't know what, 10 to 15 minutes of explaining just to get very simple analytics put up on your website. But again, it's worth it even if it takes you 30 minutes to figure out, right? Because the outcome is now being able to measure all of these things that are so integral to understanding, again, behaviors on your website, what people are doing, where they come from, what actions they take. This dictates your marketing direction. This dictates everything that you do from this point forward in regards to how you build your website, how you build your application, and what you do to cater to the audience that's coming over to optimize it and make it that much better and scalable.
Got it. Okay. So you've got GTM. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just go to YouTube and just watch this. It's worth watching.
For those who aren't able to watch it, it's definitely worth watching. And listen, it's a really worthwhile tutorial just to get it up and running. And again, I know as we're going through this, it's hard to visualize it, but again, it's for this CSVfile.ai example, if we look at some of the metrics that are pulling through, right, we can go through some of this. And we look at traffic acquisition over the last, we'll focus on the last 7 days, right? I know there's not a ton in here because we just started, and a lot of this is just example traffic. But this is where you're able to really start breaking down things, right? You can see the difference between people who come direct to your website as opposed to referral. If we were on some other websites, you can break it down even further and see people who come from organic sources, or people who come from email or from paid, or take it even a step further. And if you're running email campaigns, you can see people who came from a specific email campaign, or see people who came from a specific paid source if you're running paid campaigns through Google or through Meta. And again, it just gives you the opportunity to start breaking down your marketing channels and gain a better understanding of that. Know where to allocate dollars, allocate budget, so you're more efficient with your spending, and again, helping you scale up and grow your business.
Got it. Cool. Okay, so we've got Tag Manager wired up. What is next? What should builders do next?
Yeah, so the next step after that would probably be building some of your events in GA4, or really just gaining a better understanding of what's taking place in GA4, right? I would definitely start by making sure that your data is flowing through first and foremost. So there's typically about a 12-hour to 24-hour period between getting Google Tag Manager set up, getting it installed on the website along with GA4, and making sure that all the data flows through and everything after that. What I would look for after that is also trying to look for things like specific events that take place, right? So sticking with the CSV file.ai example, right? You want to start looking at certain events that take place and see if these events have any meaning for you, right? And if they don't, you want to start looking at certain events that may have meaning and start building them into your GA4 account. And that's going to be done through the use of Tag Manager as well. So
Got it. Okay.
This all makes sense so far?
Yeah, and setting up GA4 is pretty straightforward. Like, you just go to googleanalytics.com or something, you just fire it up.
Somewhat.
That's kind of done through Tag Manager, though, right?
It's done through Tag Manager as well.
Oh, okay.
It's done through Tag Manager as well. And my recommendation would be that we have an episode dedicated to event building, because I think the next step here would be to really make sure data is flowing through and to see what events flow through first.
Okay.
Because some of these events, depending on the site and who you are, may be enough. And if they're not, then you may want to take it to the next step, which I would recommend, and start building specific events around certain actions that take place. And I'll go into that in just a second too. But again, for example, there's some general events here: page views, scrolls, session starts, user engagement, which typically just means clicks or something else that's happening throughout the website as well, right? So these are just general. If we look at those, and then we look at the CSV file.ai website, nice site, man. Really nice.
Look at that. How pretty that is, huh?
So the one thing here, right, is if you look at these events and you look at first visit, form start, page view, scroll, session start, user engagement, to me, those don't really say enough about any valuable action that would take place on this site, right? Like, a valuable action to me on this site is somebody who's either clicked get started and signed up, somebody who's uploaded a CSV file, right? Somebody who's done something that's a little bit more valuable or has some more merit to it, right? Maybe they've clicked on a specific tab. So my next step would be to create a custom event around somebody who's clicked the get started button. That is something that would have to be custom built into Google Tag Manager. Right? So again, everything with Tag Manager, it's pertinent to put on the website because it's going to be what helps you track everything, again, in regards to all of your marketing channels, again, direct referral, emails, paid, all that stuff. It'll give you all the events. And again, as we're looking at events here, these are some of your basic ones. At some point in time, you're going to want to create custom events based on certain actions that take place in your website, unless you're happy with the default events that Google tracks, which in most cases, most people aren't. You typically need a custom event to create, which I think is really good fodder for a full episode that we could probably cover at another time.
I think you should, right? I mean, different, pricing tiers. I mean, those buttons.
Yep.
Your conversion, I'm always just thinking out loud, but absolutely. Tag Manager, and then we'll dive into Search Console real quick.
Yeah. Let's do Search Console really quick and talk through that. Do you have that, Charlie? Search Console?
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah, I don't have the access to the Search Console, but...
Yeah, I granted it to you.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up. Get this bad boy up.
It's all going to be CSV file. CSV files, AI CSV.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
A whole episode for events. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Just for kind of peel back the curtain on SEO. Yeah, brand new domains are so difficult to get onto Google organically. They're so hard. It's best just to buy an old domain and just take it over.
Yeah, but finding those is also ones that at least have good ranking. Typically, people don't want to let go of.
And dilute your keywords that you're going to go after. Yeah,
correct.
That's a whole other thing. Okay,
well,
so we're in Search Console. What happens now?
So, I mean, really, once you get Search Console installed, I mean, the thing here is it takes so long, at least in my experience, for Search Console to show you anything of value, right? Especially with a new domain, because you just don't see enough in terms of performance, the website clicks, everything else. So really, for the first, say, I don't know, 3 months, and you back me up on this, Charlie, right? It's like you're a big Search Console guy. I know you live in there. You live and breathe it for a lot of the clients that you work with. From what I've seen, it's like a full 90 days before you really see anything, unless it's an established domain, right? Maybe less than that.
Yeah, I think if you're buying ads, it will definitely help with the domain authority. If you're buying Google ads, but what you should do is generate a sitemap and a robots.txt file from, if you're building a Lovable or bolt.new, generate those files and submit the sitemap through Search Console and make sure it's indexed. And you can do that if you click URL inspection on the left-hand side. If you go down one, and just put in the domain, csvfile.ai, and just make sure that it is indexed or seen on Google. So in this case, URL is on Google. That's good. And what you can do is, if it's not on Google, it will tell you, like page indexing, it'll tell you like an error with robots.txt or something like that. Then you can literally just copy that and plug it, paste it into Lovable or ChatGPT, whatever you used, and it will tell you why. So first thing first is that page, or pardon me, the sitemaps, and then you can go to, then you can monitor performance after that.
Would you have a recommendation of anywhere that somebody else goes though first to like look at performance in Search Console?
To look at performance, is under that performance tab on the, if you scroll up just a little bit, right there. And then you can see like over, see like something happened. I was looking at this morning. Something happened obviously on, I don't know, what is that? The 9th, August 9th. You know what that is? Whatever that date is. That's Saturday, or maybe that Friday. Maybe something happened on that Friday to trigger just a plummet. I'm not sure. So there's, like I was getting some impressions, 3 clicks. Okay, it's been up for, I think, 712. Getting some keywords there. Those aren't the right keywords. We're going to have to pivot, but you can see what keywords are indexing on this domain. So what you can do, if you got what I did, and you can test this with the top query is CSV file, one word, you can plug that into your H1. And then the remaining keywords, you can just, if you're vibe coding this, just copy those keywords, paste it into Lovable and say, this is the result of my Search Console data performance over, let's just say 28 days. Naturally paste this into my homepage copy and then just hit update.
Yep, that's a really good thing. Good suggestion. Because the other thing I was going to ask too, and pretty much what I had assumed is, how do you take the queries, leverage them on the site to generate more traffic, right?
Yeah.
Like, would it be taking these, or the ones that, do you take the ones that have more impressions and clicks, throw them in the H1s, or does that not really matter? Like, how would you, or like for anyone listening, like, do you take the ones that have the most impressions regardless of the clicks? Do you take the ones that have the highest click-through rate?
You'll have, well, it depends on the intent. And this is where it comes down, because that CSV file, .ai is that CSV file that was originally the keyword I was going after because of, the massive trend and the massive volume, but it doesn't hit the intent of somebody searching CSV AI. Like it's not a marketing analysis keyword, right? So this has to shift. So with that in mind, if there's clicks and impressions, I would go after clicks because that shows higher intent. Right. And I would put those in the title tag and the meta description as well, and just keep an eye on it over time. So you can You could export the data, or hell, I mean, you can use the app, and the app will tell you. But keep that target have a target of like 5 keywords, and just have those locked in with like a project folder or something, or a spreadsheet, and just keep an eye on those keywords.
Right. But I think that makes ton of sense too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to clean up all these keywords because this is no bueno.
Well, listen, that's the process, and I think everybody, for everybody listening, it's a process, and this was a very quick walkthrough of foundational implementation of marketing, and I think it deserves, which is why we're doing these every Thursday, right? It's like the marketing side of this deserves so much attention, and I think implementing analytics from a very foundational general standpoint, the 101 stuff is going to take a few episodes to really nail down so you guys get it. Because I think even in Search Console alone, I've been doing marketing for 15 years now and worked with, all these accounts. So have you, Charlie, but for me, I still go into Search Console and feel like I get lost sometimes. And for anybody who's watching this on YouTube, we're just talking about performance, but there's all these other tabs that you can dive into and gain understanding of how things are functioning, what's working versus what's not working, et cetera, and just better, again, your business, your website, your application, and move things forward. And it's the same for GA4, right? It's like we could talk about this stuff for hours. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to do it infinitely on every episode. But
I think that's a good stopping point. So on the next episode, we'll talk about event building. You want to do that?
Yeah, I think event building is a good one. I'd like to get into some more customized event stuff, and then cover a little bit more on the GTM side and analytics stuff too.
Okay, awesome. That wraps up this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
All right, cool. Peace, guys.